Welcome. This is Jan Carosa, and I'm here today with Catharine O'Leary, who is known as the Quiz Queen. Today, we're going to talk about how to attract clients using quizzes, which I think is really fascinating. I'm glad that I'd been through one of her sessions before to kind of get a taste of how this can be way more than I ever dreamt because it lets you do more than just qualify somebody and segment them. Um, Catharine has got a background with 2 degrees in economics. She's done work for Apple and HP and Adobe and Pepsi. So I think we'll be able to get a lot out of her in terms of what she was able to do with this kind of research that she did for these companies. So, Catharine, welcome. Thank you
Thank
for,
you, Jan.
yes, thank you for joining me. I'm so glad this kind of came together.
Yeah, well, we've been kind of in each other's sphere,
Yeah.
almost connecting, but not quite. So now we're finally connecting, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
I think the first time I heard you were doing something with Kimberly Crow, maybe for an entrepreneur rocket full of fuel or
Yep. Yep.
one of her
Kimberly and
projects
I
like
are
that.
work together often. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Well, let's dig into this. So, I like this because for me, I'm interested in anything that can help you do your marketing better that's for free or nearly for free. And so this is just kind of on my radar to do this kind of thing. So we're going to tell me how we can use quizzes to attract clients and how we can use them to build know, like, and trust, which I think is really interesting because it goes way further than what I ever thought a quiz would be able to do. Usually a quiz is just kind of get somebody to register, get them to get a
Yeah.
lead magnet in their hand. And as you say, 80% of people don't open those downloads once they get them. So yeah.
Yeah, which is a frightening fact, right? So you put all this time and effort into these checklists and blueprints and so on. And people, I do believe that people genuinely want to open them. They are genuinely interested and they would love to learn more, but we're just so inundated with this type of information that it becomes content that just gets put to the side. It goes into that little folder. I don't know if you have that folder to
Oh
read later,
yes. Oh
right?
yes.
And then you never read it. Like my
Right.
folder has like 2,000 files in it or something.
Yeah,
Like I
it's
have no idea
ridiculous.
who was what from when. I had all the intention in the world to go back and read these things, and I just never did. And I'm not the only one. So really getting the results or that taste of what you can do to help people
Mhm.
within that, that first initial contact is hugely important. And that's where a quiz can really come in, because what I talk about with quizzes is it's a lot more than just a form to collect leads, like to
Right.
collect their email. And it
Which
does
I
that.
think is the problem that most people just
Yeah.
think, oh, it's just a form and I'm just going to collect information, maybe qualify them a bit. So yeah, this goes way further.
It can also do a lot of damage if it's not done right. So the way that I like to talk about it is by, first of all, forget the technology for a second. Like, regardless of how you actually get the quiz online or whatever,
Created,
but
yeah.
think first, what question is your client struggling with at 3 a.m.? Like they jolt awake and they think, what about the solution that you have? So if you think about your ideal clients and think about the struggles that they're having with this, with the information that you have, the solutions that you have.
Hmm.
So for me, it took me a little while to realize that almost no one wakes up in the middle of the night thinking, I just need a quiz funnel. Like no one said that at any time in the history
Ever.
of ever, right? Like no one says that, right? Except for me, maybe. And maybe 2 others in the whole world. But what they do wake up is thinking is, how can I stop wasting so much time on leads that are not qualified? Or how can I just qualify my ideal clients so that when I get on the phone, it's already a done deal. Like it's all like they're ready to go, right? They're ready to hit, like, just tell me which program is best for me. I've got my credit card right here. Like, how do we get to that point. And the first step of that is really getting into your, your client's 3 a.m. question in their language, right? So again, no one wakes up thinking about quiz funnels except for me. They wake up thinking, how do I attract my ideal clients? How do I, what is missing? What am I missing? What's the gap between the problem that I solve and the solution that I have? And how can I close that gap? Right. So that's what you need to figure out. You need to figure out for your ideal clients what that 3 a.m. question is. And I'm stressing for your ideal clients because, you really got to get niche down. And I know that a lot of entrepreneurs don't like to hear that because your stuff serves everyone, right? The problem is that not everyone wakes up in the morning with the same 3 a.m. question.
Right. And I had somebody describe that as your champagne client, right? We might get a lot of people that spend a little bit of money or take your free newsletter, but who are the ones you, like you say, you're targeting. So target the best ones.
Target the best ones that aren't on the beer budget, and are ready to go. But if you concentrate on those ideal clients, you'll be able to figure out their 3 a.m. question, like what they're asking themselves in their own words at 3 a.m. If you try to do that for everyone, or even for a very broad audience, you're not going to be able to come up with that question, right? So that's the first test. Can you come up with a 3 a.m. question that you solve for your ideal clients, right? Okay. Turning that into the question that actually attracts them to your quiz. So that's you turn that question into a learn about or uncover or discover the ways to, solve your 3 a.m. question. That's the hook. That's the thing that grabs them. And the reason why it grabs your ideal clients is because you spent time figuring out what they're worried about. And they literally go through and think, oh my God, that's what I need. I want that. I want to know what that is, that one thing, whatever that is. Maybe it's your coaching superpower. Maybe it's your market readiness score, or it's, what's stopping you from, getting to 7 figures, whatever that is that you help people with.
Right.
Maybe what color is your crystal? We just went through a super moon. So maybe it's something around what energy is your moon. I'm making things up now, but every
pretty
business
good on the fly.
Yeah. Every business can have a quiz. So, what is that 3 a.m. question that you can help with? And then what a quiz can do is take your clients on a little bit of a self-discovery journey. So now you can ask them a couple of questions. I call this the coffee chat, where you can sit down with people and almost as if pretend like you're role playing and you're sitting down with a friend that has the 3 a.m. problem that you solve for, that you have a solution for, that you have a transformational program or offer or one-on-one coaching, whatever it is. And this friend says, I have this problem. Can you give me a solution? And before you launch into your solution and a price point, kind of like, I don't know, that's almost like proposing marriage on the first date. You haven't asked any questions, right? So just because they have the 3 a.m. question, ask a few more questions around where they are in that particular journey. Like maybe it's, for example, if you're a coach that takes people from 6 to 7 figures, there's a lot to unpack in that. So maybe you ask them, how long have you been in business? What does your team structure look like? What do your systems look like? How would you describe your mindset when it comes to money and abundance and things of that nature? And by getting some of those answers, you get a little bit of a profile, and they also kind of think through themselves where they're at in their current spot. And then you can ask them, where do you want to be in 12 months? Right.
I like that part of it where you're starting to get them. I was reading some of the things you were saying about it. You talk about how you give them some enlightenment, right? So they're getting something out of it. It's not just collecting information, right? That you're trying to do. And the fact that you're taking them, I know I was reading about the hero's journey that you're taking them on. So a journey is way more than you would think of the typical quiz. You almost think of a quiz as the typical quiz, as a poll, right? It's just a little quick thing. This is more of an opportunity, it seems, to kind of go through a story, but where they get to learn something, and then there's some reward in it for them.
Exactly. So they get to uncover a little bit about what's going on with them. You get to learn that. You do all that in 5 to 8 questions. It doesn't take long.
Wow.
Right. So you've got 60 seconds because, like, literally, we have, the attention span of less than a goldfish. Right. A goldfish has 8 seconds. We have 7 seconds. So you don't have a lot of time. Right.
Right.
So as you ask these questions and as your clients start to think, oh, what are my systems, or what is my team? And in the context of how do we get from 6 to 7 figures, right? So now you have them thinking about themselves, which everyone likes to talk about themselves. So, what's in it for them. And then you ask them at the end, where do you want to be in 12 months? Now they've self-identified a gap, right? So this is where I am. You asked me all these questions about where I am. Now you've asked me where I want to be. Oh, crap. Yeah. I don't have the systems, or I don't have the team, or I don't have the mindset to get there yet.
Okay.
Right. And then you can go further and then offer them a customized solution. So you've given, or they've given you enough information that you can say, you know what? There's a couple of things to unpack with going from 6 to 7 figures. And maybe for you as a coach, you have 4 things. One is mindset, one is team, one is IT kind of systems, and one is maybe leadership, right? So those are the 4 things that you really concentrate on in your transformational, course or coaching.
Right.
And as people go through this quiz, you ask them, which of the following are your primary challenge? And if they say mindset, then they get a mindset report. Ooh. And a mindset video, and everything is about the mindset. That doesn't mean that they don't need help with the other things. Right at this moment in time, what they're asking for and the way that you can meet them in where they're needing you is with mindset. For somebody else, it's going to be IT. For somebody else, yeah,
because everybody, your customer journey, where you are in the customer journey today, you might be a beginner, but later you're advanced. So
exactly.
But I love the idea of the gap, identifying a gap. Like you say, that's more than enlightenment. That's like identifying a problem that you need to solve, and then you're the person that's going to solve that for them.
Exactly.
So I love that you do this. You talk about something about adding personality and humor to it. How do you do that?
So this is where, like, the questions that you ask, you have an opportunity, right? You, like, the way that you ask questions, and I've asked tens of thousands of questions of thousands of customers in 30 years. So, the way that you phrase the questions, the way that you craft the answers, the answers that you allow people to choose from, that all talks about your expertise, your knowledge of where they might be. It might get them to think a little differently about certain things. I have a cousin here in Toronto that is a real estate agent. And one of the things that we did for her quiz was, in Toronto, there are, people think that, like, being by Lake Ontario is the place to be, which it can be. It's just that it is a pain in the butt to get to the north end of the city where a lot of the commuting avenues are. So if you have to commute in or out of the city, you shouldn't live down by the lake. You should live up by, up in the north end. So we put in her quiz, like, do you need to commute? Like, do you need access to the 400 series highways, access to the subway, access to, the beach? Like, what's most important for you? Like, do you need to commute? Do you need to, do you need to public transit, or, are you good and you're just going to be down in the city? And people kind of went, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way, because I didn't know Toronto enough to know that. Like, I'm kind of coming into the city, not knowing that much about it. So she's showing her expertise, saying, look, if you need to drive somebody, like, somewhere, like, daily, then we need to look in this location for you versus, the beaches or on a subway line or whatever. So the questions and even the answers that you offer show your expertise.
Exactly.
But they also show your personality. Like, if you're quirky and you're you know, like you've got like I often talk in a bit of an Irish accent with my background. So I'll put like, you know, like little Irish words or whatever into my quizzes and into my reports and so on, like sláinte, which is cheers. So like if you're like that, then you can put that into your quiz and shows off some personality. It differentiates you from other people. It differentiates your offer. And what you want to be able to do is be able to be the person on the phone that they expect, right? So if you do a really buttoned down, like corporate professional quiz, and then you're all quirky and like, you know, like off the cuff on your call, a little bit of a bait and switch.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't, or vice versa. Like just show yourself like, oh my gosh, like this is so much fun. This is what I can do. And that shows off your personality. It sets you apart. It gives you, your quiz questions give you the ability to build that know, like, and trust factor. So if you make somebody think, like my cousin did with her real estate quiz, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, well, okay, wait, now I have to think about that. Where do I need to be? Like, what location is most important, right? You're showing that you actually know your stuff, and
Cool.
you build that know, like, and trust. And then you meet them where they're at. So now you're even building more credibility because, like, wow, they knew that mindset was my big thing, or that I really want to be on, you know, the lake,
Right.
you know, whatever that looks like. And then you follow up with them in that language. So, hey, mindset, you know, let's talk about mindset. This is about mindset, this solution, like give them 3 solutions that can get them through, you know, quickly, you know, like let's start here. And then the cherry on top is the invitation to the next step, right? So then you get to say, okay, here's, you know, if all you get out of this is these 3 kind of starter solutions for a mindset, you know, you've gotten value, and like, you know, done deal, great, you know, happy to meet you, off you go. But if you want to learn more, then you go to the masterclass. You invite them to register, you invite them to the sales call, you invite them to the next step, whatever that step looks like for you.
Right.
And that also builds that authority. So then by the time they get on that sales call, they know you. They're trusting you because they've already said, I'm going to get on the call. They know exactly what their gap is. They know that they've got a solution that they are interested in, and they know that there's probably more than that they need to work on, and they want more information about how to do that.
That's great, you know, because it is more than know, like, trust. You've got, and you've identified a weakness that maybe they hadn't identified before.
Yes.
And one of the things I like is that you talk about how to use this tool once they get this quiz for networking, even to down to your business cards, to put it in a QR code and use it in your collateral. I just think that's really powerful, that it's with you everywhere. It's easy to share. It's
yeah, what I love about this is that it's not a platform of its own. Like it's not like, so if what you get to do with a quiz is aggregate everyone into this one vessel, this one vehicle, and they go through the quiz, and if they don't finish the quiz, they're not your folks, they're not your people. Like, I love when people drop off my quiz. Love it. Great. Awesome. Not my people. You're probably not gonna, you know, like, you're not my folks. Bless, you know, I attract the best, I release the rest, because there's somebody else's best. Brilliant. Love it.
That's a great line.
But the thing is that with the quiz, you can be, you know, sending people from, like, to the quiz from Facebook, from Instagram, from LinkedIn, from your networking, from your speak to sell, from your book, from your business card, like wherever that you're marketing.
In-person speaking engagements. You've got your cards or a collateral piece. It's there.
And if you can have a short, quick email, like a URL, like, so for me, right, anywhere I go, if people want to know what I do or how to get in contact with me, go to quizformybiz.com.
Yes.
Right? They take the quiz, and from there, if they're still interested, they can get into my masterclass. And
we want to repeat that again. So Catharine's calling it Uncover Missing Gaps That Stop You from Getting Clients Now. And you're going to go to https quizformybiz.com. to find that. We're going to put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
But also you can reach her at CatharineO'Leary.com, and that again will be in the show notes because Catherine is spelled so many different ways. But
yes, two
think
A's for
Irish.
me. Yeah. But you can drop that quizformybiz.com, for example, at every networking event, at every speaking engagement, at every summit. It can be your free gift for your podcast. It can be your free gift for
when you're
gift
a guest.
giveaways.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're a guest. So it can be your free gift because it is a lead magnet and they do get a report. So, it can be your free gift for everything. And then you only have one lead magnet that you're like messing around with.
Wow.
That does so much more than just collect email addresses.